In today's video, I'm going to break down the top 5 route combos you need to use to become a dominant passer in college football 26. Now, with that said, let's get into my first route combo, and if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop me a like on the video. Now, for this one, the key you're looking for is this zig route to the slot receiver. You're looking for in your playbook any play that has a slot receiver on like a deep zig route. Now, I know you think that zig routes are hot routes, and they are, but I want you guys to notice the difference. If I hot route the receiver to a zig, it's very quick compared to the route on this play. The route on this play is way better, and it beats any coverage in the game. Let me explain why. So here, we're going to start with cover 4 with hard flats. All you really need to do is put the outside receiver on the wide side of the field on an out route. When you do this, this is going to allow this zig to get wide open regardless of coverage. Now, here, we're just going to set up a very basic play. You'll notice that the zig gets wide open because that flat zone gets pulled to the sideline, and that's like a lot of yards. Now, that was cover 4. You would think, okay, if cover 4 doesn't work, maybe a cover 2 because you have a hook zone sitting right there. And the thing is that's still not going to make a difference. Like here, if we do the same route combo, you're going to see that this out route is going to pull the zone to the sideline, and all you have to do is wait for the zig to cut back to the sideline, and it's going to break past that hook zone, and you'll see here, that's very easy yardage. Now, you might think that the streak to the tight end is what caused that hook zone to get pulled out of the way, but you'll see here, if I even put him on a drag, the hook zone is still not going to play the zig. You just wait for the zig to break to the sideline, and it's free yards. So a lot of players would think, okay, zone doesn't work, let me try man. Well, the great thing about this play is this route, it just beats man. So if I do the same route combo, you'll notice that this is just a man-beating route. Like, it's going to win majority of the time, and it's going to get good yardage. The second route combo we're going to look at is something that can be used from pretty much any bunch formation in your playbook. It's just going to be hot routes, and you need to make sure the bunch side of the formation is on the wide side of the field. So the first thing you're going to want to do is send the one receiver by himself. Real quick, guys, if you want to dominate college football 26 and win more games, sign up for my VIP membership on Sportsgamerz.com. You'll get access to all my premium content for the entire year, including all my offensive and defensive ebooks, weekly tip updates, and more. I'm running a limited time sale on my yearly membership where you get 7 months for free and 6 bonus ebooks. Over 99% of our members say that they win more games with our tips. Click the link in the description of this video and start winning more games now on a drag route over the middle. Then you're going to want to streak the tight end and put the slot receiver on a slot fade. Now, you're going to put the outside receiver on a corner route and stem the corner route all the way down. Now, to custom stem a receiver up or down, you hit the hot route button, then the receiver's icon. Once you do this, you'll see the menu pops up. It says custom stem. You hold down the button for that. That's L1 for me. And while you're holding it down, you just hit the left analog stick down or up until you're satisfied with the length of the route. For me, I want this all the way down. Now, you could block the running back, or you could even send him out of the backfield on a flat. That'll just help if there's a flat zone, manipulate it quicker. But what you're going to notice right here is on this type of route combo, the corner is wide open on the sideline. Now, that right there is the worst part, in my opinion, about this game right now. Is just every quarterback in the game randomly just throws the ball into the stands. And I don't really know why EA's decided to put random terrible throws in the game, because as you can see, throw the same, get a blue pass, it's easy. And this is going to be something you can do all day long against any sort of zone. And the reason for this is the slot fade hot route. In years past, especially last year, people would stick switch, and they'd be able to stop this corner route pretty easily. You simply cannot do that with this route combo. Let me explain why. So with the slot fade, you're seeing that it's angled to the sideline, right? So if somebody tries to stick switch, get on this corner, and come down on the corner route, they are giving up a free touchdown to the slot fade, even if they're in cover 4. Is the safety has to play the streak down the middle of the field. So the stick switch is no longer an option. All you can really do is have deeper flat zones, which if you do that, that's why we have the drag coming over the middle, potentially the running back out of the backfield. This is something, once again, that's just going to be pretty much any sort of zone. Because, a lot of people would think, okay, well, let me play cover 2. But it's the same problem. You're either giving up the corner route or the flat, depending upon the depth, really, of your flat zone. So, like here, you'll see, it's just all day long. And yes, you could zone drop your flat zones deeper, but if you do that, then the flat is wide open. The next route combo is something you'll ideally want to do from any sort of spread formation. And with this year, a lot of people are playing man coverage, and one of the best routes in the game to beat man is a comeback. But if you do it from a play like this that has seam streaks, it's also very effective against zone. Really, all you need is just something coming over the short middle, like a drag with a seam streak and a comeback. I prefer doing my comebacks to the wide side of the field. So here, you'll see against man coverage, this is just simply a timing throw. You just throw it as it's breaking back, and the man defender pretty much can never react to that. These comebacks are really effective. So like right here, you can see we're breaking downfield, and I'm anticipating this throw. I know that, bam, right as he's going to turn around, I'm throwing it, leading it down, and that's a dot. Now, once again, you might think, okay, well, that's just a route to beat man, kind of, won't be as good against zone. But that's just not the case. Like you can see here that this is cover 4, and we're just going to do the comeback, the seam streak, and the drag. Now, the nice thing about these comebacks, by the way, is you can see you can stem them up or down. So you can kind of manipulate the depth you want to run them. So like here, we'll just leave it at pretty much a standard depth, and you'll see like this is also pretty much unstoppable against zone. What you'll notice is the deep zone will continue drifting back, and the underneath zone will have to come up on that drag. Now, at this point, I know this is free yards. So, bam, I'm throwing it, and this is an easy throw and catch. Now, the great thing about these comebacks is you can stem them. So you can control their depth. You can make them deeper. Say somebody has deeper flats, send them back a little bit further. But keep in mind, most people won't do that because when you have the drag underneath, you can't really just abandon the flat, right? But this just makes for such an easy dot on the sideline. It's very consistent, and it's really good against the blitz. If someone's zone blitzing you, simply keep their running back in, and you will have time for this. This is basically a 3-man read here. I have a seam streak, come back on the outside, and then a drag coming over the middle of the field to make sure that they have a hard flat on the side the comeback is being ran to. The next route concept everybody's going to want to have in their game is belt off a 4 verts. So we're in the gun wire trips, and we're going to take a look at how this works. Now, we are going to make some hot routes. This isn't going to be all verticals, but the reason why you want this in your game this year is because cover 2 is pretty common, and this can be an easy touchdown against cover 2. Now, the thing here is we want this to do this from like a trips formation, right? I like a spread out trips, and you want your trips on the wide side. Now, on the short side, what I'm going to do here is put the one receiver that's by himself on a comeback. I'll explain why in a second here. But you'll see that against, any sort of cover 2, this is going to be a touchdown. The reason why this happens is that these safeties have to split wide in cover 2, obviously, against this type of formation, especially a vertical concept. But the mid-read is supposed to carry. And what happens here is on this, he gets confused with that tight end, leaving the seam wide open. Now, here's where we get a little bit more advanced. This is why I use the comeback. Most people won't do the comeback. The comeback makes this way better. Why? Well, because, somebody's smart. If you do this to them once or twice, or even just once, depending upon how good they are, they're going to know, okay, we got to change this up. We got to go cover 3 to close the middle off, right? So, if you happen to get a cover 3 or something with deep zones instead of a cover 2, that's why you have to come back. Because remember how good the comeback is? Look, it's free dot on the sideline. Okay, next route concept we're going to look at. This is going to be something you can do with hot routes, or you can find a play that already has a return route built into it. But if you don't have one of those, it's fine. We'll hot route it. But you do want to do this from some sort of compression formation with 3 receivers on one side. Could be a bunch. It could be this formation. Completely up to you. But there should be a formation in your playbook that allows you to do this. So what we're going to do is the one receiver by himself, we're going to put on the slot fade hot route. Now, remember, you do want the 3 receiver side of the formation on the wide side. And what you're going to do is put the first receiver, whether it's an inside receiver or tight end, you're going to drag him. The slot, you're going to put on a deep cross hot route. The last receiver is going to go on a return route. Now, here, you can see I already have that, but if you don't, note the return hot route is down on the D-pad. You can block the running back. You certainly do not need him in the route. Now, what we're going to do here first is cover 4. This play right here, really good because it will tear apart any zone, but at the same time, the 3 routes on the right, they can all beat man. So let's just take a look at how we read this. You'll see wide open, red pass. Once or twice, woo, these red passes, man. All right, let's do it again. But what this route concept forces is you to have a hard flat. And if you have a hard flat, you're pretty much dead to the crosser. This route concept is way better this year because in years past, this guy right here, 3, he'd be on a streak. Now he's on that slot fade hot route. And remember how I said that prevents the stick switch? Same thing here. You can't stick switch because if you do, this is no longer a streak running right to the safety. This is running to the pylon. Outside, you stick switch, no one's there to help you. This is a touchdown. So the stick switch is no longer a thing, right, this year. Because, well, it's still a thing, but it's not nearly as OP because of the slot fade hot route. So if you have a hard flat, you're dead, right? And if you don't, we're throwing to the tight end. Now you might say to yourself, well, you could just take a hook zone and go use with the crosser. You could, until you realize we have a return route. And that's kind of what makes this route concept so good. Because, like, yes, let's say that, we just decide, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to just use the crosser ourselves. Like, we're going to have hard flats, and then I'm taking this guy and I'm using the crosser. Okay, well, now you give that up. And you can see how this becomes a problem. And then you might say to yourself, okay, well, now I see that nobody is in the flat on the side of the 3 receivers. So guess what? Now I'm either manning this guy up or I'm putting him in a hook zone to stop that return route. Once again, that's why formations like this are so good. You can do one of 2 things. You could, if you notice this adjustment, just send the running back out on a flat. Because guess what? Okay, you took away your flat zone. Now you're dead.